Okay, show Seth. Show one of these wonderful people. Yeah, there you go. This is why Ellis Clinic is the best. These people, when you come here, your home, your family, we're going to take care of you. Tell me when to start talking.
Right now.
I'm talking now. Okay. This is Ellis Clinic. Your asshole doctor. Everybody said they're going to take a shot every time I say asshole. That's the second shot. My wife said, you get paid to be an asshole. Now I'm getting paid to teach you. Okay. We're going to talk about federal workers' comp, and VA disability, FERS retirement, medical retirement, and anything you want to do. Okay. Now, here's the deal. Here's the problem. Federal workers' comp and VA laws are ridiculously fair. They're administrative law. They are ridiculously fair. The slightest amount of work or service contributes, it's 100% covered. Why all the problems? Why are you watching this video? Because no one knows the damn law. And then the biggest problem, white coats. Over 50% of litigation requires a white coat, a doctor's opinion. For instance, state workers' comp, guy's writing he's a company truck driver, has a wreck, has a broken neck, the surgeon fuses the neck, and the insurance company writes a letter, is this work-related? Well, obviously it's work-related, but we have to have a white coat say it. And the neurosurgeon, which is the top doctor in the world, said, I didn't see the truck roll. So now it's got to go to court. The judge said, yeah, of course it's work comp. All right, now, we're not trained in occupational medicine, and that ain't enough to do federal workers' comp and VA disability. And no one's ever heard of legal medicine, but what it is, it's FECA, which is Federal Employment Compensation Act, OWCP, all this workers' compensation programs are the regulations. It's FECA, OWCP legal medicine. So you can have an MD and a law degree, and you don't know shit. And I'm 81 years old, and I call it like it is. We had a hospital here in town, National Hospital, tried to do federal workers' comp for 2 years, and they fell on their face. I saw the reports. They're bullshit. Okay? Because the claims examiner in federal workers' comp, if she accepts the claim, it comes out of another agency. There's a higher fiducial duty. If she were an adjuster for Allstate, she could accept a little progress note and not go to court, but you can't. And then they hurt people. They don't know they hurt people. I saw their scheduled awards, which is the impairment rating. No one's got it. No one's going to get it. Or they got lowballed. Okay. And it's just a travesty. So they did it for 2 years, fell on their face. So one of our patients, an accepted federal workers' comp claim, needs physical therapy, and she wants to go to that hospital. We said, no, they're not taking federal workers' comp anymore. And the patient said, yes, they are. So Lori, show Lori, show the group. Wait, Lori, that's okay. So Lori calls the hospital, national hospital chain, workers' comp person. You take federal workers' comp. Oh, yes. Send us their claims examiner's name. Your adjuster's name. That's state workers' comp. That's not federal workers' comp. A federal workers' comp is a claims examiner, and you don't talk to them. Okay. No, you're not doing it. No, yes, we do. Okay. And we told her, no, they're not going to do it. But if you want to go, here's, and she goes there, fills all the stuff out. And then she starts to go in physical therapy. They said, oh, we don't do federal workers' comp. National hospital chain can't do federal workers' comp, physical therapy on an accepted claim that if they billed it on Thursday, they would pay direct payment on Friday. We're talking about levels of stupid. But there's the problem. All the doctors and all the lawyers and all the hospitals and all the clinics said I did one federal and I'll never do another one. We never give up because the law is set up to help the employee and the vet, and you always win if you don't give up. So if you are a wimp, don't do this stuff. We had a webinar a couple months ago. The doctor had done 5 knee surgeries, included total knee, and I appreciate the doctor doing federal workers' comp because a lot of doctors can't find anybody. To become a provider in federal workers' comp, you get online, you get your numbers and you're a provider. You go to the OWCP website and look up providers and 75 miles of you. After the 15th one who signed up at some time, Oh no, we don't do it anymore. Oh no, we don't do it. They gave up. They gave up. They gave up. Don't start unless you've got balls and are going to know the FECA law and the OWCP law. You're hurting people. So anyway, it had 5 knee surgeries totally. Doctor, when will I be at maximum medical improvement? In the white coat, the doctor, and I'm one of it, said, you'll never be at maximum medical improvement because you'll always need shots and you'll need injections and blah, blah, blah. Well, under federal workers' comp law, you're at MMI. Those are maintenance. They're not going to change anything. Now, if you're scheduled for surgery next week, you can't have a scheduled award. That would have cost that man $310,000. Somebody ought to sue a hospital. Somebody ought to sue a doctor for giving out that kind of legal advice. Call us, we'll give it to you free. The staff knows it more than I do. I just work here. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about employee compensation, ECOMP, Employees Compensation Operations Management Portal. This is gold. Okay, you email in your documents or whatever. You correspond with your claims examiner. So we had a claims examiner that told said I left a voicemail and she didn't call back. Outright lie. She scanned her phone records and said, no, you didn't. And the next day, suddenly everything's approved. Caught him in a lie. Now, we got to give the claims examiner a pass. Now, the claims examiner only needs a high school education. Hell, my doctors can't do FECA. All right. And you see some of the denials and you go, oh, God, they didn't go to high school. I mean, it's just not rational. Right. So anyway, but the ECOMP account, when you get into it, it looks like you took the chart and threw it on the floor. I had a postal layer. We did a schedule award. Nicole, 26-page schedule award. We know how to do schedule awards. Nobody else knows how to do it because it's not just, this sounds like an ad, but it is. Because it's just the damn truth. This is the book you use to do schedule award for federal workers' comp. Okay? The American Medical Association Guides, Evaluation, Permit, blah, blah, blah. That ain't going to be enough. You got to know the FECA law. You got to know all the FECA bulletins. If you don't know that, don't do it. And there's not one or two other people in this world that know how to do it. I'm just telling you that. Right? So you're getting lowball. So anyway, here's one. ECOMP. We will set up your account. You don't worry about it. Just call us. We'll walk you through it on the phone, or you can come in. You don't have to be a patient. We'll just do it for free. Everything we do here at Federal Workers' Comp is free. Doesn't cost anybody anything. If we can't win the claim for you, we're not going to bill you. But we're always going to win the claim because the law is set up to always win if you don't give up. So anyway, Sherry, my pretty Sherry, we've done a scheduled award and sent it to ECOMP, and now he's in Florida. Where was he in Florida? We used to do East West Coast, going in a boat and having to stay at the pier because his only internet connection is the library. And he's wanting to get a password from OWCP so he can finish his scheduled award stuff. Well, Sherry talks to him on the phone and gets it done in less than an hour. And Sherry comes in and said, that's the funnest thing I've ever done. I've helped somebody like I've never helped anybody before. And now Sherry's getting pictures of fish as he flies around the Gulf Coast fishing. And we get fish pictures. Okay. And so we'll do that for you. Doesn't cost you anything. Is that in the way? Oh, thank you very much, Gary. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we'll set it up. Now here's one where our paralegal, we've been trying to get a case accepted. The claims examiner just blows it off because the ECOMP account is not an organized, not chronological. There's they can't do more. They can't look at more than one account a month. I mean, it's governmental crap. Okay. Anyway, so we did the letter for the employee to send to ECOMP. Regarding my reconsideration, I submitted on this date and this date and this date, and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm requesting, it's been 90 days since my original request. I have yet to receive a response or update because they don't have to. If a decision regarding this matter is not rendered by 1/17/2003, I'll be requesting an oral hearing for the matter to be escalated to the claims examiner supervisor. Now, all we're asking for is these contusions to be accepted. They're not even scheduled work in case they turn into something in the future. That's on January 11th this year. And then January 12th, no text from the claims examiner, but he did call him and said, check your econ account. They're all accepted. We will do that for you. Lawyers don't know how to do it. They charge you. We don't. We'll take care of it. Okay, we've got a bunch of questions here. Do you conduct evaluation diagnosis for traumatic brain injuries? Absolutely. Certainly. That's easy. By the way, the VA traumatic brain injury form, I use it for everybody. It's a great form. Now, caution everybody, when somebody says no loss of consciousness, there's no way you can say that. They don't remember. If you were unconscious, the tape's not there. No observed loss of consciousness, because you may be in a car wreck or an explosion and you're wandering around, but you're not there. We've known that since the boxers way back, about like the NFL fighting brain damage. Yeah, you dumb shits. Okay. So obviously TBI, we'll diagnose that, and you don't need to do all the stuff. You come in, you tell me, okay, I have GERD and sleep apnea and need an updated opinion. Sure, we do all that. Okay. Now this is Office Personnel Management FERS disability, which means you can't do the job which you're hired. It's not Social Security disability. For instance, a guy in Texarkana has a fused neck and he's a crane operator and he can't do it anymore. So he's now on FERS. He's not Social Security eligible because he's intelligent. Okay. And I'm on LPM disability FERS, granted under the Bruner presumption, means the government gave him a letter saying you're terminated because you can't physically do your job. Well, that's the criteria. I have a lawyer dealing with this, really filed running the gambit, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I'm asking the agency to approve a CA1 for psychological injury. I'd call it a CA2, certainly psychological. I think if you file a federal workers' comp claim, you ought to file for PTSD starting 6 months. Because when you go through the brass of administrative law, it's going to drive you crazy and everybody else. We just like it. Okay. Sure. You need to file it within but whoever, George, you need to file it within 3 years of your being an employee. Okay. Yeah.
Would you like to have someone read those?
No, I'm going to read them.
Okay.
I'm going to summarize. We don't read them. Well, thank you though. Yeah. Here's a vet saying you can get on your VA claim and look up decisions and stuff. No need to start hard copies. You can get reprints from the VA. You can also do that for the federal government. But if you get in your ecomp account, you want, if your doctor sent in the operating report or the radiologist sent in the MRI for their billing, it's there. 10 years from now, you need it, you print it up. You don't have to have stacks of stuff. All right. You can also write to the federal government and they'll send you a CD-ROM with it. All right. That's good stuff. How to do that. Stephen, I need an extra letter for appeal my combat-related special compensation. Right? Doctor writes, oh, sure, absolutely. We take care of vets and we take care of widows. Now, this is, if you're a vet, listen to me very carefully. And if you're a spouse of a vet, listen even more carefully. I saw a veteran service officer. Now, these are like American Legion, DAV, VFW, and every state has a veterans commission that's free. And they'll help you file your VA stuff. Always go through them. You don't need to be doing administrative law and filing administrative stuff without these help. But anyway, saying don't go for tinnitus, that's just 10%. Go for tinnitus. That's ringing in the ears. Because if you have tinnitus and you die of any cardiovascular disease like heart attack, stroke, cut off leg, or you have sleep apnea, there is medical literature showing that that's linked to it. And there's case law linked to it, and we'll get that widow a pension. A charge, but write it off, because if I ever did charge a widow, lightning would come through this ceiling. So that's a fun thing we get to do, help our widows out. So Marines and 101st Airborne, get off your butt and file for your spouse. And I understand your reluctance to file VA. I've been doing this for several years, and I checked my audit agreements of flight surgeon in the Army. Heck, I was 20%. Said, I'm filing for that, give my wife that money. She's the one that has to put up me being deaf. Okay. Can one retire from the United States first and get their injury rating dollars down the road? Yeah, you have 3 years from the time you retire to file for a cumulative trauma claim, like a back or neck or carpal tunnel.
Unless they're firefighters, they have.
Oh, that's firefighters 10 years. Or let's say you found out that you had asbestosis 30 years later, but then the statute, when you knew about it, that's when it starts. Okay.
One moment.
Yeah.
Gary, one of our YouTube videos, people says we have an echo.
Yeah, I started Facebook. I just made a change. Ask him if it's better.
Is it better now, Charlie?
Charlie? Okay. Ronald, I live outside the United States. You provide telemedicine employment? Sure. Okay, here's Robert. I claimed hypertension secondary to obstructive sleep apnea several months ago, but assumed it was presumptive. No, nothing's presumptive except certain things like if this was VA, Agent Orange and now the burn pits, which we learned we wouldn't know when we started. I need a next letter. You always need a next letter. VA, federal, you need a next letter, and you don't go to the VA looking for a Nexus letter. You start with your next letter from your doctor. This is a federal employee out of Ohio who teaches raters that, decide whether your claim is service connected or not. So they're not well trained. And for his Nexus report came all the way from Ohio for us to do a Nexus report, because you start with your doctor. First of all, your medical records in the service do not meet the criteria, and no one has medical records in the service. As a flight surgeon service, I never saw a pilot except for his flight physical. The way you treat pilots, you're at the bar, they say, Doc, I got this friend. I say, give your friend this prescription or they'll get grounded. Like MPs never get the clap and doctors never get a ticket. Okay, that's how that works. And of course, they're basic. You break a foot bone, you're going to limp through. You're not going to go back through basic training. So sure, we do all that stuff's easy. Federal law enforcement 20 years can finally hear loss. Oh, surely not. Being out in the range doesn't cause any hearing. Jump hard, it's easy. Okay. Go to Ellis. He said guidance. You go to Ellis Clinic, look up federal workers' comp checklist. It's a CA2, and actually it's also a form actually for hearing. But you can just come in and we will help you write your employee statement. We'll help you fill out the CA2. You don't have to learn that stuff. We're going to walk you through this. We're going to hold your hand and make sure every little dot and I is taken care of. Okay.
There's certain occupations too where it's presumptive for hearing loss, like law enforcement.
Law enforcement, yeah.
The weapons cleaners.
Right.
The
And that's and
it's
law enforcement.
toxic and the noise.
Right. Okay. All right. Now, let me tell you how smart I am. This is Nicole, my physician assistant, and I know she's smarter than I am. That's how smart I am. Okay. And actually does a better schedule reward. She nitpicks it and spends a lot of time on it. But with government, that's good. Okay. I'm a full-time VA employee, need assistance filing PTS, depression, diabetes, and hypertension. Didn't have it when you're enlisted. Okay. Working VA will give you PTSD and depression. Okay. But if it happened in the service or it was contributed to, now, service connected. Let's say you're in the service 20 years and you develop psoriasis. Then it's service connected, not service caused. Happened during service, it's covered. Okay. So PTSD, depression, and all that stuff that if it happens during service, covered. But it also can be caused. You see your buddy blowing up, you know that's going to cause a chemical change in your brain. And we'll help filing claims. We'll do all that. How many months does a scheduled award payment take? We try to get it for your great grandkids. It could take 5 months, 6 months. It could take a year. Now, what's happening is, if there's any supervisor, any agency listening to me, let me tell you how you're getting screwed by the claims examiners and my OWCP. So we do a scheduled award, and rather than the claims examiner looking at it and accepting it, they'll send it to the district medical advisor. There's another $5,000 or $6,000 down the tube. Okay. And then the district medical advisor will nitpick it. Now, not always, sometimes they actually raise ours. Okay. And then if you object, then you go to a second opinion and it just goes down the tubes. So on scheduled award, just by the way, If they lower if we do 20, they do 15, take your 15, come back next year, we'll do another schedule of work. Fighting it means it's going to be 5 years down the road. Let's just get practical. We're not looking for justice. We're looking for practical stuff taken care of. Justice occurs after you die. George, I messed up knowing how the VA stuff works. Why? Gee whiz, never heard that. Enough correct medical info. Of course, Camp Lejeune, that's covered. Now, the best medical records are the ones that burned up in St. Louis. You come in and tell me about your service and you sprained your ankle playing basketball. That's your medical record. When I write it down, it becomes your medical record. Medical evidence is you got a white coat on. In the Air Force, these are majors, lieutenant colonels, and they're board certified flight surgeons. And they're taking occupational medicine because they get another degree, another certificate. Are required to spend a day with me because they all write down the best thing they did in 3-year residency. I may be a good teacher, but no one's that good. It's they have no training in legal medicine, except what they watching Perry Mason on TV or CSI or something. That's not legal medicine. This is what I teach. This is what you need to understand. Person goes on a mission trip that's endemic for hepatitis A. It means there's hepatitis A all over, like at Eastern Oklahoma. They don't have a hepatitis A shot. 21 days later, doctor, he's got yellow eyes. That's all the information you get, doctor. That is enough information for a doctor to have a thought, not a diagnosis, not an impression, a thought that you've got hepatitis A, that you've got hepatitis. Because medical evidence, you got the white coat on, your education, training, experience, what's your thought? It's not a diagnosis, it's not a lab test. You don't need that. That's it at that point in time. Then, doctor, you did a CAT scan. He's got a gallstone in his gallbladder that backs the bile up to his eye, makes him jaundiced in your eye. What's your thought? Well, he's got a common duct stone. That's reasonable medical evidence. The lab test comes back. He has hepatitis A and the stone at each point in time. That is reasonable medical evidence. And the doctor goes, oh, shit, I've been hurting people for 20 years. That's not taught. And yet 50% of litigation requires a doctor's report. Okay, I got into this 50 years ago, and so I have 50 years of training, but I'm the book. There's no way you can read this stuff, learn this stuff. Okay. Now, Camp Lejeune is easy. It's just like now we've got burn pits. This is VA now. Accepted. Well, I got the first burn pit I ever done accepted. This is how I did it, doctors, if you're listening. So the person's around the burn pit. So my letter is to a rating officer with probably just a high school education, or a claims examiner in federal work with just a high school education. So let's dumb it down to where the lay person can understand it. Don't use all these, like I say. So now, I said, the lungs can handle smoke really well. You got to smoke a long time to get emphysema. The lungs are very sensitive to hydrocarbons, oils, jet fuel. If you have a child that drinks some J4 jet fuel or gasoline, you let it go through the system. You do not give them ipecac and have them vomit, because that just a little whiff of that stuff will hurt the respiratory system. And so you saw the oil wells burning. You imagine what that's doing in your lung, and you see the burn pit. Okay, so there's that. And then at that time, there weren't any human studies, but there are animal studies. So I put that down as a medical rationale. Then I show animal studies that like one of the best things for toes is fungus is oil. Fungus can't handle it, nor can your lungs. And then once that case gets accepted, then I use my case to recite everything. Then it finally goes to the Board of Veterans Appeals, which, by the way, the Board of Veterans Appeals, the Employee Compensation Appeal Board of the Supreme Court of Federal Workers' Comp, on all harass officers I've ever talked to, are as honest as you can be. They know the law. All they're interested in is making sure it's followed. So you just need to get your claim up to somebody that's got brains and will follow the law. But if you quit, it's not going to happen. Let's do Mass General. I'll let this person go down the tubes. So if you're not going to do VA and take it all the way to the end, You're not going to do federal, take it all the way in, don't start. It's unethical. All right, so, and you always win because the law is set up that way. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, at least in state workers' comp, it's got to be 51% causation. In federal, then VA, the slightest amount contributes. If it aggravates the slightest amount, it contributes, and therefore it's covered. For instance, if I did a scheduled award, which is an impairment rating in federal, and you had a pre-existing back injury with a nerve down the leg, and you had a club foot, and then you hurt your knee in basketball and had knee surgery, then you had a car wreck, had another knee surgery, then you had a VA claim, had a knee surgery, or just a knee, just a strain. Then you worked for the government, and you got a strain, just a little strain. The way I would rate your leg, I would rate the nerve down your leg. I'd rate the knee just as it is today with all those things together. In other words, you're getting VA and federal, and I had the club foot. That's the law. Is there any clinic in the world that knows that law? No. Nicole does. Okay. Okay, that's enough. We've been. Anybody have questions?
I have a few. Do you have a few?
Can you receive OPM benefits as well as OWCP benefits at the same time?
No. But you just still do it. Okay, so for instance, I've got a patient who's getting 75% of his pay back. This federal workers' comp, everybody. He's getting 75% of his pay tax-free on workers' comp, and he'll be on it until he dies. The states are going to cut you off, but he gets on it. But we still went ahead and did a FERS retirement that he just puts in the safety deposit box. So if that ever stops, it kicks in. Okay. So, or a better example, postal employee, hips, knees, and ankles, except that he's on a walker, 60 years old. And the nurse case manager, who's the Antichrist, and except when they come to us, then they're real helpful because we know how to talk to them. They want to come in on the doctor's visit. No, I'm seeing the patient. If you want to talk to me, give me a code and I can bill for it. Slavery stopped in 1863. Well, we don't have a code. I know, no one ever asked for it either. You've gotten away with this. But now if you're a good claims examiner, and we have several, I can say, we need an MRI. She'll pick up the phone. We got approved. It takes us 3 days. But most doctors should not let claims examiners in the room. And if they want to talk to you, they can talk to you, but say, get your checkbook out. Give me the bill. Well, if I can bill for it, I'll be glad to see you. Otherwise, who do you think you are? You got a badge? That doesn't mean anything. Okay, so anyway.
All right, John from our YouTube channel says, could my knee arthritis problems and back problems be a secondary condition from my flat feet and plantar fasciitis? And if so, would that be one or two different conditions on your Nexus form?
Okay. Flat feet, plantar fasciitis. Okay. When you're a teenager and on the beach and you got one flip flop and you just got one, and you'll take 1 or 2 steps and you'll go get that other flip flop. Being that far off, when a chiropractor does that, it's just heaven. I don't know what God was thinking having us walk upright, because that's a hard thing to do. Okay. Anyway, so your feet contribute your ankles, your knees, your hips, your back, and your neck. There's no cervical spine and lumbar spine. It's a spine. When you have a tension headache and you get a massage, they can massage the back of your thighs, and it'll help your tension headache, and certainly your low back. So sure, if you have a doctor that understands the law. Now, if the state workers' comp, I wouldn't even let you in. Wouldn't let you bill, because there's no way we're going to win it. But this is the law. Now, I think it's ridiculous, but the idea is we're supposed to take care of the vets. I mean, they put their life on the line, so darn right. Okay.
If you're receiving FERS benefits, can you still receive a scheduled award through OWCP? You can.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Oh, and now, okay, now here's another one. If you're on temporary total disability, which is different than FERS, okay? When you're on FERS, it's easy to get your scheduled award. If you're on temporary total disability, if you get a scheduled award, they cancel the TTD, and then you get the same amount each month. You can't even tell where it came from. And then you get back on TTD. In fact, I had a lady come here from out of state. The lawyer wanted a scheduled award. because then he gets his 20% of the scheduled award. I said, now, if we do a scheduled award, it's going to stop your temporary total disability. And she said, well, my attorney said once the scheduled award's used up, he'll get me back on temporary total disability. So I called him. You ever done that? No. If you will sign a loan that you will pay her that same amount until you get her back on TTD, I'll do the scheduled award. Well, I can't do that. Then I'm telling her to fire your ass and ask for a refund, and she's going to file a bar complaint. You almost brought that. What your advice to her was that criminal malpractice. You can't do that. Sue me. Yeah, no. And I want the check today, and it needs to be postmarked by tonight. He starts to pull the lawyer shit. I said, hey, buddy, I eat lawyers. At that time, I'd done 1,500 trials in devastation. By the way, I've done 1,587 trials in devastation started, including federal criminal court for veterans and federal employees. I've never lost a case. Because I'm an asshole. I know the law. And the other side, even though in federal, I'm supposed to give all the testimonies that I've done. If they had read one of those transcripts, we wouldn't be there. But these arrogant prosecuting attorneys from the federal government are just stupid. They just think because they show their badge and everybody's anal sphincter tightens up, that no, you've got to behave. You've got a badge on. If I'm a cop, I'm paying from my body cam to cover my vanity. I can get away with this stuff because I'm a layman. And I get to say what I want. All right. So, yeah.
All right, I have TC on our YouTube channel says, I'm an air traffic controller with class 2 medical, and I lost my medical certificate due to long COVID and the medication I'm taking. Can I apply for FERS disability and will you help?
Absolutely. It's easy. That can even be just telemedicine. Sure. Because you can't do the job which you're hired. It's not Social Security. Sure, that's an easy one. Because they've already told you you can't do the job for which you're hired. And so that's called a Bruner presumption. And we'll do that. And you get FERS. And also, whenever you're getting ready to retire, go back over your lifetime. If your back hurts and you have a desk job, bending your back contributes to it. Now, it wouldn't be in state workers' comp or a personal injury like a car wreck, but it is in federal. And you file all of those claims, your carpal tunnel. Like no one got carpal tunnel back 100 years ago when you used a roller and you used white out. Okay, but now it's on a computer. And if you're a dedicated federal employee, which most of you are, well, I'm going to one more thing and you one more thing it to death. My transcriptionist was getting carpal tunnel. I teach ergonomics, everything moves. And I even wrote a program to lock up the computer every 30 minutes, say, Vicki, take a 5-minute break. She takes tapes off, gets carpal tunnel. I make her file a state workers' comp claim. Instead of been paying these insurance premiums, it's a bet, and you win. Okay. But this is what's interesting, just to digress a minute. Vicki and I are both Christians, but when I see Vicki, I have an emotional limbic system response. I wish she'd go away. And my frontal cortex said, shut up, because she's a paralegal and an RN. And when she does my reports, they look great. When I do the reports, they look like crap. Okay. Why do I have that antagonism? Workers' comp means fault. VA disability means fault. You've all had kids. No one ever says it's my fault. Okay. Yeah. Now, let's say Vicki got carpal tunnel from a tornado. Do you need time off? Do you need to do this? You need to see the difference. And so when your supervisor or when a rating officer or a doctor at the VA does this to you, basically subliminally calls you a liar, it hurts. Psychologically hurts, like family doing it to you. There's a lot of emotional stuff when the GOV screws you. Well, God spelled G-O-D, not G-O-V for government. Yes.
I have a question on what Sheree asked a second ago. Is long-term disability the same as temporary total disability? What's long-term disability?
There's no long-term disability. It's temporary total disability forever. Now, FERS is going to be, this is permanent. It's not going to get better for that, but you're on temporary total disability and yet you're going to be on it forever. Or for instance, the guy I was telling you about, the little guy, He's on, he's on work comp 75% of his pay. And the nurse case manager wants him on FERS at 40%. I said, good idea. You hired him under 1916 law. That's ridiculously fair. The only change was in 74. They get to pick the doctor, and that doctor's report has more probity for legal value. If I'm your doctor, I'm God. That's just what the law says. And that's case law, and that's just what the law says. It's an unfair battle. Where two car wrecks are equal. Okay? The lawsuits are equal. No, not federal. So it may be a federal, a second opinion doctor. My report, my opinion is what it goes by, period. And even if they get a referee doctor, which could override me, I see him again, and we're back in the saddle. We never give up. Don't mess with my babies. So anyway, so I said, yes, he can work with these restrictions. And the post office said, we don't have a job. So he stays on workers' comp. They sent him a second opinion. He said he can work, yes, and I said, sign the treating doctor with these restrictions. Again, the post office said, we don't have a job. He stays on workers' comp. They sent him a third one. This doctor usually screws the working man, but Dennis came through. He said, yeah, never go back to work. And now instead of doing a periodic report once every 6 months to fill out little forms to keep your check going, and people come from all over both sides of the ocean and to get that little form filled out because no one else knows how to do it. He'll be on work until he dies. But now we just see him once a year instead of twice a year. That doesn't happen very often. So yeah. So he's still temporarily totally disabled, but it stays on.
So that's the long-term disability. So it's
That's
still-
long-term, but that's not the word they use.
Okay, that's
It's not, now permanent disability is on FERS, but it's temporary total disability, TDD. But it's permanent. I mean, everybody knows you've been on 15 years. I have a guy who lives in New York, couldn't find a doctor in New York to do federal workers' comp for his back, had to go to Germany to get his back surgery. So he flies here every 6 months to get his, I'm still unable to do the job for which I was hired and I'm on work, and I'm on temporary total disability. And his claims examiner said, you can't see Dr. unless it's over 100 miles, which is fraud and also stupid. Now they only pay 100 miles, but he didn't even bill for it. And he's coming here for his restrictions, he's not off work. And so I said, no, I'm not asking for that, but I have the sole right to pick my doctor. If not, I'm going to file a Bivens complaint against you. Claims examiners and federal employees and officers listen to this one. In 1971, the United States Supreme Court, 5 officers denied the constitutional rights of a federal employee. He sued them. They paid their own attorney fees and court costs. If you're a federal supervisor, you better be careful. You can be fined and go to jail and everything else. You get away with it because no one's ever called you on it except Ellis Clinic. The law's all for the employee, if your doctor knows. Is enough?
I think so. I don't have any more.
Yeah.
We're at 42 minutes.
Actually, 42 minutes plenty. Now you know everything. It's real simple. Give us a call. We'll give you the advice. Doesn't cost you anything. You don't, like an e-comp account, we'll set it up for you. You don't even have to be an employee. You will be for a patient. You will be for 30 minutes or an hour, but you don't have to come. You don't have to do anything. We'll walk you through it. We've got a whole staff of medical, legal medicine. Got a whole staff for e-comp. We got a whole staff to help you do your CA2 and CA1 and your employee statements. Let us walk you through it. You don't have to go through administrative law by yourself. For example, a Department of Defense, really supervisor, GS, what their highest number is, came to see us for her VA Nexus report and was tickled that we don't charge like other people. And although she's this supervisor, supposed to know federal workers' comp, didn't. She left with 3 federal workers' comp claims. Okay. Or after, even now, it wasn't that long ago, I had a veteran, when he was leaving the service, he wrote down his conditions, and the sergeant tore it up and said, I want a blank piece of paper. Don't trust anybody. It's administrative law, you win. Now, you're going to have to jump through hoops depending on your claims examiner and their bias and maybe their supervisor's bias and their lack of training. But there's a bias against injured litigants like you're being a black man in a 1924 KKK meeting. It's that bad. One large insurance company for months. We fight fake car wreck claims to keep your car insurance premiums down. Buy our car insurance. At that time, there were 4 billion people in the world. I'm the one person that did that ad. They paid a lot of money for that ad, and they ran it extra time. It was very successful. We fight fake claims. Keep your car insurance premiums down. Buy our car insurance. That ad says, if you file against this company, we're going to fight you. And that's a Ron White 5-minute skit, Ron. Hey, dummy, buy our insurance, we're going to fight you. By the way, this is double-sided. I took the master's course in accident reconstruction, and anybody wants to know about low speed, get on my website. That's the best analogy on low speed in the world. I went one time to court, and I've never had to go back on that law, that insurance company. You don't mess with my babies.
Alex saw that insurance guy on a TV show. She was like, I thought that was some honest insurance guy. I didn't know he was an actor.
Now, wait a minute.
And I was like, what?
Now, honest insurance, forget it. Honest lawyer, forget it. All we learned in medical school about legal medicine is lawyers don't go to heaven. That's the beginning of my course. Now, I've also, when I see a lawyer, I said, I'm going to tell you something you'll never hear. I'm a doctor who loves lawyers. Okay. And I love the law, especially this law that's so fair. We just want people to follow. All we want the government to do is follow their own laws. And we're not going to give up. If you don't give up, we won't give up. And it doesn't cost you anything. Now, we do have to charge for veterans and stuff because I charge for widows, but I already gifted off because you charge a widow, lightning come through the ceiling. But can you imagine how fun it is to have a widow get a pension? Oh, what a job. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Mr. Connolly says, Dr. Ellis, I would like to thank you and your staff for everything. You guys are awesome, and a special thanks to Nicole. She is awesome.
There you go. Yay. In fact, the doctor that the federal employee that teaches Raiders came from Ohio, and for his Nexus court, I had Nicole do it, not the doctor. You'd think in that situation now. And he goes, I understand. She knows more than you do. Okay.
Good job.
Bless you, my beloved.